Look, you are probably sitting at your kitchen table right now. Your phone's face down, your laptop is open to Zillow, and you've got that one tab still open on the mortgage calculator. You know, the one you've closed 3 times already this week. And your thumb just keeps hovering over the Apply Now button, like it's gonna literally reach out and bite you. You're hesitating. And I get it, because somewhere in the back of your head, there's this quiet voice saying the thing you are absolutely terrified is true. It's whispering every month I keep renting, I'm throwing money into a black hole while everyone else is building an empire. Well, that voice is wrong, but it's also kind of not entirely wrong. And the space between those two ideas, that is exactly what will decide whether you wake up at age 52 with a paid-off house, a massive investment portfolio, or honestly, neither.
Section 1. 2 paths, 1 starting line. Let's dive right into this. So, meet Ryan and Steve. They're both 32 years old, they both earn $80,000 a year, and they have both somehow managed to scrape together $80,000 in savings. Financially, they are literal twins, but psychologically, they're complete strangers. See, Ryan needs permanence. He wants a backyard, a garage for tools he'll probably never use, and the absolute right to paint his living room neon green without asking a landlord. Steve, on the other hand, needs exits. The idea of being locked to the exact same address for 30 years just makes him panic. So Ryan buys, Steve keeps renting. Let's watch what happens.
Month 1. Ryan finds a $350,000 house. He drops $70K on the down payment, another $10K on closing costs, and boom, his entire $80,000 savings is completely wiped out before he even unpacks a single box. He locks in a 30-year fixed mortgage, and between principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and maintenance, his true monthly housing cost lands at $2,653. Steve, meanwhile, rents a comparable place for $2,000 a month. He takes that entire $80,000 he didn't spend on a house, drops it into the market, and commits to investing the $653 difference every single month. Which brings us to Section 2, the Month 1 reality check. At this point, most people look at this setup and say Steve is literally throwing his money away. But here's where it gets wild. Look at this breakdown for Ryan's very first month. Out of that $2,653 payment, only about $230 actually goes toward paying down the loan. The rest of it, that massive slice of the pie for interest, taxes, insurance, maintenance, that is pure cost of living. It's exactly the same category of expense as Steve's rent. So calling rent throwing money away while acting like Ryan's other $2,400 is some genius investment, yeah, that's just creative accounting. Section 3, time and compounding. Let's fast forward a bit. 3 years later, Ryan's house has gone up in value and his equity sits somewhere between $112,000 and $123,000. Steve's portfolio, thanks to that original $80K plus his monthly investments growing, he's sitting at about $130,000. So they are almost perfectly neck and neck. But watch what happens as the timeline stretches. Ryan's mortgage payment is safely frozen in time. Steve's rent, though, climbs by about 3% a year, which means his monthly investing advantage shrinking. But Steve still has this absolute nuclear advantage. His original $80,000 is compounding aggressively in the stock market, while Ryan's $80,000 is locked inside drywall that might suddenly demand a $12,000 roof repair. Okay, let's jump to year 10. Both guys are 42. Ryan's equity is up to maybe $278,000, while Steve's liquid portfolio is pushing $290,000. Steve's technically ahead on pure net worth, but his rent is creeping up on $2,700, while Ryan's core mortgage is still frozen. Now you're 20, age 52. Ryan's equity is roughly $500,000. Steve's portfolio, $750,000. On pure numbers, Steve wins. But here's the catch. The shape of their wealth is totally different. Steve can sell 8% of his stocks tomorrow morning if he needs cash. Ryan cannot sell 8% of his kitchen. But on the flip side, Steve's rent is now $3,600 a month forever, while Ryan is just 10 years away from never having a mortgage payment again. Section 4, the psychological landmines. This is the pivot point for this entire explainer, guys. Because the spreadsheets are perfect, right? They assume Steve perfectly invests that difference every single month. Through 30% market crashes, through panic-inducing headlines, through the temptation of buying a slightly nicer car. The math assumes absolute perfect discipline. But human beings, we usually have other plans. And that's the real advantage of a mortgage. It is forced savings. The bank absolutely does not care if Ryan feels like building equity this month. They are taking the money anyway. But buying has severe risks too. Ryan has massive concentration risk. Steve owns tiny pieces of thousands of global companies. Ryan owns one single house on one street in one neighborhood. If that neighborhood goes downhill, he's stuck. And again, liquidity. If Steve needs 20 grand, he clicks a button. If Ryan needs 20 grand, he has to convince a bank to let him borrow his own money.
Section 5, the decision matrix. So, which path is actually better? Well, it honestly depends on two unavoidable questions. One, are you staying longer than 7 years? Because if you buy and then move in under 7 years, the massive transaction costs of selling are going to absolutely wipe out your equity gains. And two, will you genuinely invest the difference? If you keep renting, but that extra money just quietly disappears into better restaurants and vacations, well, you're going to end up with nothing but a giant stack of rent receipts.
If you want a quick mathematical shortcut, use the price to rent ratio. Take the house price, $350,000, and divide it by the annual cost of renting a similar place, which for Steve was $24,000. That gives you 14.6. As a general rule of thumb, when that number climbs past 20 in your local market, renting starts to look a whole lot more competitive.
Section 6, your new superpowers.
Look, the decision was never purely about the math. It's about identity. Ryan traded liquidity for stability. Steve traded certainty for flexibility. And the only stupid choice here is pretending these trade-offs don't exist. Because now you know the truth. Rent is not pure waste, and neither is mortgage interest. Home equity is real wealth, sure, but it is totally illiquid. Renters only win if they invest religiously for decades, and buyers only win if they stay put long enough to let the math actually work. That knowledge, that's your new superpower.
But knowing the general trade-offs is not the same as knowing what is right for you. Applying this entire framework to your specific time horizon, your local market, and your own behavioral habits, that is what turns this from an interesting concept into a decisive life strategy. And that exact deep dive is what we cover in our next explainer. Because 20 years from now, the difference between you and the person who stayed confused at their kitchen table won't be about who bought or who rented. It will be about who finally stopped pretending the decision was simple. So, what's it going to be? Are you going to let a societal myth dictate your net worth, or are you ready to run your own numbers? I'll see you in the next explainer.